Inheritance tax and family financial planning. In this video, I want to look at how inheritance goes through families and how you can do long-term financial plans so that you make the most of your money and your wealth, both for yourself and also for your family. I do regular updates on tax and accounting issues, so if you'd like to be kept up to date, please subscribe to the channel. And if you press the like button, it helps me and the channel, so thank you for doing that. Wealth in families is a funny old thing, and I think that how we think about wealth needs to change because the circumstances have changed quite a lot, really. I was doing a bit of reading of medieval history, and very briefly, back then, 500-600 years ago, people would inherit their family estates when they were teenagers or in their 20s because the previous generation died much earlier. But rolling that forward, even our grandparents' generation, they would maybe die in their 70s or early 80s, and therefore when they left their money, it left it to their children in middle age. And that's changed somewhat now because our life expectancy has increased, and if you're a married couple and you're in good health, it's as often as not people live into their mid-90s. Now that changes things in terms of how you deal with money. I think the first thing to think about is when we need money. So it's really handy when we're establishing a family. So in our late 20s, our 30s, when we're establishing a household, it's really handy because house prices are skyrocketed and help to buy those houses and buy a family house, which is so hard for younger people to buy. I think that you do need money then. It's really handy when your family's growing up, and also it's really handy when you're in early retirement, because there's loads of fun things that you can do, and in early retirement, if you retire early enough, then you can do these things and spend your money on things that you want to do and have some fun. Because we have to accept that although life expectancy is very often people living into their mid-90s, people don't do stuff when they're in their late 80s and early 90s. They're not doing a whole load of stuff, so they're not spending a whole load of money. So thinking through when you want to spend your money so that you're not needlessly hoarding money for your late 90s when you can't spend it. I think this is a worthwhile thought process to get the most out of your money, and this is really what I want to do in this video, is highlight that it's worth thinking and planning through how to get the most out of your wealth so you haven't built up this wealth for no purpose. So I think there is an instinct, particularly for savers. I'm a saver, so my instinct is to hoard and to want to grow my wealth, and that's what I've been doing through my life. And I think as I get into later middle age, what I need to be thinking about is that that's a little bit of a waste of time. So I need to think through that because I want to stop accumulating wealth, because what's the point of it? I can't control it after I die. I can't spend it when I'm old, very old particularly. So I need to think now about changing my mindset from accumulation to dissipation. And that's quite a difficult thing. And I think one of the things I've got to be really careful about is that to mix my identity with my wealth. I think a lot of people do that, and I think it's a really easy thing to do, and I don't say that I'm an innocent in this regard. But I think once you start mixing up your identity and your money, I think that comes very close to the love of money. And the love of money, as we know, is the root of all evil. If we look at fables and stories, then the hero is not the person who accumulated and never spent their money. Scrooge was not a hero when he was saving up his money, and there's the story of Silas Marner. That's the way that folk stories tell us about it, because that is how stories tell us about accumulating money, because it is something that people have always tended to do. You save money and never dissipate it. So therefore the challenge is, how do we do a financial plan? A financial plan that doesn't mean that we die at 95, we leave money to our children at 70 who can't then have lived their lives, they can't spend the money, they can't get benefits from it, they then leave it for their children, who also are 70, and it goes down the generations, never benefiting anybody, always being taxed for inheritance tax at each junction, and this crying shame is that it's not being fully enjoyed, when it can be enjoyed in early retirement particularly, and as your children establish their households. And of course this comes directly into inheritance tax planning, because the main opt-out for inheritance tax planning is either spending it or giving it away 7 years before you die. So as long as you give it away early, then you can see those people benefit from it, and also it's not in your inheritance tax estate, and so from a tax planning point of view it really works well. But I think it's much more important to do it from a family planning, how to get the most benefit for your family. Once your children are adults, once they're 25 or 35, you know your children better than I do, then the die is set. Whether they're going to spend it and waste it or not, it's sort of going to happen one way or another, whether they inherit it when they can use it, or whether they inherit it when they're old. They are who they are by the time they get to be adults. So I think that this is an important area, and I think that we need to change compared to what the history was and what the tradition is of dying with money and leaving it to your heirs. I think that the tradition needs resetting. So if you want to talk about your finances and how you can think it through to get the most benefit, I'm always happy to help. And I do regular updates on tax and accounting issues, so if you want to talk about this or any other issues, then please get in touch and I'll be keeping you up to date. In particular, I'll be keeping you up to date with the budget and the new proposals from our new government. So please press the subscribe button and press the like if you like my content. Thank you.